I know who that is. I just don't see the comparison. I'm going to say no on that one.
Yo, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the Light Skin Perspective. We're on episode 8 on this new reincarnation of this, I don't know, two beige comedians getting together talking shit. I'm Kenan, Jerome, Floyd.
Yeah, man. You're going against the rules because we got a brown skin brother on here, man. You know, this is a light skin perspective. What the fuck?
We literally have... we literally have all types of people on this podcast.
No,
we
do.
had a white dude on an episode once.
Yeah, we did. He was real light skinned.
But I'm Kenan.
He was trying to speak on black issues. I had check on. I had to transform to Dr. Umar in Futande.
I mean, don't be saying shit that people can't go back to the tape and check.
Oh no, you know I got better. I'm better with it this time around. I'm better.
So I don't know what happened there, but I'm Kenan J. Floyd, and this is my co-host Mo Green.
Mo Green.
Where can they find you, Mo?
Comedian Mo Green, all platforms.
You can follow me, Kenan J. Floyd, on all platforms, KENANJ to the FLOYDS in pink. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast, too, if you're new to the channel. You can also follow the podcast on Instagram at LSPcast. We got a very, very special guest on the podcast today with us. Homeboy of mine, a friend of mine from Chicago.
Okay.
Out here in LA doing his thing. He has his own podcast called the Matt Tyne Podcast and Blerds in the Hood. Please welcome to the stage my friend and soon to be your friend, Jay Washington. What's up, Jay?
Fuck the hell is this, a comedy show? Coming to the stage, my friend, and soon to be yours. Nigga. Like, nah, I appreciate it, man, having me on the light skin experience. I felt like it was gonna be real awkward when I realized what the fuck. You know, so I was like, oh, you want to do the podcast? Cool. I didn't know what the name of the podcast was. And I got the invite for the podcast in my email. I was like, well, this is going to be interesting. Because, nigga, I'm darker at 3:15 in the morning. So I was like, I don't know how much of a light skin experience I can have, but I'm here. So let's make it happen.
I mean,
it's perspective.
I've never had a light skin perspective. I can't get light. I don't know how to have that.
Hell no.
We love using like these provocative titles just to get people to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason behind it.
It's clickbait.
I mean, not really. I mean, people.
A little something. It's catchy.
People don't give a fuck about what Steph Curry thinks.
We came out with his wife. Came out with his wife thing.
I'm about to say, especially his wife.
Well, we care about what she's doing because when she out here putting thirst traps, we like, go on, Aisha. I see you. I see you, Aisha.
Her big ass teeth.
Nigga.
Big ass gums. That bitch like a human chipmunk.
This is the light skin experience out the gate. Okay. Hilarious.
Mo Green looks like the worst funeral director ever. People die every day, B. That's what Mo says when you come into the funeral.
Kenan, your energy right now is like you just found out you got cancer. But you just like, fuck him.
Well, I just say a banana.
It's too far.
I just say a banana and peanut butter trying to get out of this funky.
Hold up, Jay. How you gonna clutch your pearls? And you from the town of Corey Holcomb and D. Ray Davis, to name a few.
I'm just saying,
worse shit.
I know they do, but I didn't expect, like, you can expect them niggas to say that ratchet shit. I didn't expect you to tell this nigga look like he just found out he got cancer. I didn't expect that. That's what, it was the caught off guard moment, nigga. Okay. So you felt like you just found out you got cancer, don't give a fuck. Oh, my Lord. This is one of those moments, nigga. It wasn't like, I know what Corey and D-Ray and all them would say. I'm like, okay, well, it's expected them niggas to tell you about Jesus having sex with hookers. Cool. But to tell a nigga you look like you just found out you got cancer and don't care. What?
And, I got it on the Scully. I look like I just came back from chemo.
Nigga, we start doing this today. Y'all done lost all your cancer patients and cancer survivors for listeners. Nigga. Y'all lost them all right now.
I actually thought I almost had prostate cancer once in my life when I was 24 years old.
Ooh, okay, hold on. I had to catch myself because I was like, "Yo, did you say?" I was like, "Yo, did this nigga say he almost thought he had prostitute cancer?" And I was like, "What?"
Prostitute cancer.
And the reason prostitute cancer. Ooh.
You just keep buying hoes. You can't stop.
You can't stop.
These hoes are a cancer. Oh my god, this is.
Oh yeah.
But prostate cancer ran in my family. So my grandfather had it.
Man.
My dad had it. My dad caught it early.
That's good.
So he got his prostate taken out, right? And then when I was about 24, I was in the Dominican Republic as a Jehovah's Witness missionary, and I wasn't having sex, and I was having issues. And I'm like, oh my god, I won't be able to use it because I'm not fucking. Turns out,
hurt yourself?
Huh? No, this is what happened. So this is what happened. I'm being very vulnerable right now. I'm being very vulnerable.
I missed it.
So one day I wake up and I go to the bathroom and I look down, there's blood in it, and I don't know a lot about my body, so I'm like, oh shit, I'm on my period. And then I have to go. I come back to the States, I go to the doctor, and we do the whole prostate exam and all that shit, and the doctor has his hand up his doing the prostate exam. Yeah. And he goes, "Do you have a girlfriend? Are you sexually active?" And I look at him, I'm like, "Nigga, I am now. Like, you got your shit in my butt." So he told me, he said, "You have an enlarged prostate because you're not having sex and you're not masturbating. You need to find some way to relieve yourself." And I said, "Well, I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I do not do any of that debaucherous bullshit." And then he wrote me a prescription for pussy. And now I got kicked out of the Jehovah's Witnesses. That's
What the fuck is happening?
It's story time, Jay.
So they rather you be cancer-ridden in the booty than get booty.
Nigga, I never thought I'd be on a podcast, and within 6 minutes, I would hear niggas say he looked like another nigga, looked like he found out he got cancer and is cool with it. Then have that same nigga who was wrote on say, "Well, I was in the Dominican Republic to get no ass because I'm a Jehovah's Witness and pass out watchtowers. And the doctor finger fucked me and told me, you need to bust a nut." And I was like, "I don't do these things." In 6 minutes, nigga. 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
That's how we give it up, man.
And now
that's how we do.
And now look, Bo's taking off his jacket because he's
it's
like,
too hot. I can't.
I
don't know how Kevin Samuels do it. I can't do it. This shit's crazy. I can't do it. Oh my
god. So, Jay Washington from Chicago.
I don't have no ratchet ass stories like that. I hope you wasn't for to ask me to tell you. Share a story when the doctor had to tell you to play with yourself. Well, I don't have one. So
no. Well, the reason I was really looking forward to having you on is because we have a lot of things in common as far as like pulp culture, interest in pulp culture, and comic books, movies, and stuff like that. And what's interesting is, for such a long time, people thought that nerddom was just looked one way, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it was usually white. It was usually socially inept people that couldn't get girls, people that all wore glasses and all that stuff. But then when you actually start hanging out with people, you find out that most people aren't like that at all. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people out there that are really smart. There's a lot of people out there that are on game. There's a lot of people out there that understand what's going on in those spaces, that also get pussy or also have friends or also live a whole nother life that's not consumed just by this. Right. So, having you on, I would like to talk to you about like what really got you what is really got you interested in the quote unquote blurred space.
So I've been a legit nerd since I was a shorty back in Chicago. I was the nigga sitting on my porch. I grew up like when I tell niggas I grew up in the hood. I grew up on 76 in Winchester, heart of Inglewood, Auburn, Gresham in Chicago. Where niggas, I grew up in the 90s where our murders were over 1,000 a year, and that was all that was just reported. You know what I'm saying? So when people always talk about now and shit like that, we all like that ain't nothing compared to what the 90s were. So you go back to that time, the 90s and whatnot, late 80s, whatever, and my mom was super overprotective of me and my brother. She didn't really want us out in these streets because, again, the streets was bad. So, we would always play in video games and shit like that. And then, I would go with my grandmother to Walgreens, and I would get the comics off the rack in Walgreens, and I would buy those. And I started getting interested in them and just keep reading them, and every week trying to get the new edition, the next issue. Then had buddies introduce me to other shit and so on and so forth. So then I'd be the nigga on my front porch because I can't leave the porch because it's so dangerous, drawing the comics and doing all this other shit. So everybody in the hood knew, oh, he good. He just, he cool, but he in his own little world, his own little nerd world, whatever, and all this and the third. So I've always been that way, even through high school and everything. I never changed who I am. You know what I'm saying? At my core, I've always been a nerd no matter what. It's just I still can be the nigga that can crack jokes. I'll be the nigga that go in the streets. I'm the dude that go party. I'm the dude that'll be ready to whoop 18 niggas' ass in a fight. I'm all that collectively. And so being the nerd that I am has always been a part of my life. And it wasn't until I would say till I moved out, a little bit before I moved out here to LA, that the nerd culture became this big open thing now. It became nerd culture wasn't its own subsect anymore. It was a part of the pop culture lexicon. You know what I mean? It was all of a sudden you had the Chris Hardwick, because this is when the arrival of YouTube, as far as the people on YouTube started having and the YouTube channels and things like that. And so all of that started allowing the pop culture thing and nerd world to go bigger. And then Blerd didn't get it to a term until about between 2013 2015. Blerd wasn't a thing. The word Blerd wasn't a thing, but it became a thing because even though there had always been black nerds, we were always ostracized as opposed to white nerds. Like a black person, I always say this, a black person could never play a character that's not typically black. They would always have to be called black such and such. They have to be black Thor, black Superman. They couldn't just be Thor or Superman. You know what I'm saying? And so because of things like that, that's how you get a black nerd blerd culture. And then moving out here, before I came out here, I'd already done the Trusty Sidekick podcast with me and Bobby Hill. So we were already talking about, Marvel and DC shit anyway. And so when I got out here and then I got connected with Screen Junkies, which in turn connected me with Collider and Nerdist and everything. I mean, Hyper RPG, New Rock Stars, everything I've done in far as the nerd world is just like, okay, now it's become more, instead of just being a part of me as a kid, it now can pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting because we kind of grew up similar. Not in the sense that I grew up in Chicago in the hood, but growing up in Mobile, Mobile had its rough places. Everywhere in the South, everywhere, like when we're talking Memphis, Nashville, Mobile, parts of Florida, parts of Georgia, there was always this thing of parents keeping their black children away from the negativity in the black community, i.e. gang violence and promiscuity and like all that shit, right? So, and also growing up Jehovah's Witness, it was like doubly, we don't want you involved in that shit, right?
Right.
So I remember as a kid, when living in Mobile, my parents would take me to the movies all the time. I remember the first movie my mother took me to was The Great Mouse Detective, right? I remember going to see Great Mouse Detective. I remember going with my sister to see Back to the Future Part 3, right? Okay. I remember going to seeing Five Goes West. Yeah. I remember going to see The Land Before Time. So, like, even as like a toddler, like a young child, like I didn't know what it was, but I'm like, whatever that is, I want to do that shit, right?
Right.
And then prior to moving, because we ended up moving to Pennsylvania, my father's family is from is from Florida, Central Florida, small town called Bartow between Orlando and Tampa, right?
Okay.
So I already had this obsession with movies. Then they made the mistake by taking me to Universal Studios when it opened. Like, we almost went to every park the year they opened. So Universal Studios opened in 1990. And I'm a kid, and I'm like, I'm on the Jaws ride, and I'm like, I want all of this shit. Like, I want to do movies for Universal. I want there to be, like, a ride based on my movies. You know, I want to build my own I was, like, really... So, like, my nerddom wasn't necessarily steeped in, like, comic books, per se. But I was very much into how things worked. How things worked. What was the behind the scenes. Producing things, creating things. When I was a kid, I would build train sets with my father, right? So I mean, I was like one of those engineering type nerds. I was into roller coasters. My parents, they would take me. Did you guys ever go see Sesame Street on stage?
No.
Excuse me, what?
Sesame Street on stage?
That is a thing. I didn't know that was a thing.
Never.
All right, so Sesame Street on stage or Sesame Street Live, it was a traveling show that would go around, and they would take over like arenas. They would do like arena, like how Paw Patrol, how Paw Patrol has its show. They would take over arenas and shit. And let me see if I can pull something up. All right, so this is. I'm not going to play it because I don't want to play the sound, but this is like.
It's like what?
Can you see it?
It's popping up eventually.
It's coming up. It's loading slowly. With this bullshit ass Riverside.
All right, let's see.
Kenan, this software is ass, nigga.
All right, so. See, that's what I told you, Dave. This is gonna happen.
Yo, we gonna shame you out of this shit.
So this is like Sesame Street Live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's people dressed up like the cartoon. It's people dressed up like the cartoon characters. Mm-hmm. They come out.
First of all, Sesame Street wasn't a cartoon, though.
I mean, puppet show. It would be people that would dress up. See, this is what happens when you're fucking around with this.
I'm just saying, like you made it seem like. You made it seem like Sesame Street was Fraggle Rock, nigga. We know it was puppets. We know it was really a 7-foot nigga walking around in a Big Bird costume, okay? Yeah, it was exactly. 2 niggas in a Snuffleupagus joint. Like, niggas know.
What I meant was everybody dressed up. Like, Elmo was like 7 feet tall. Cookie Monster was 7 feet tall. And they all came on stage and they would dance, right? And the whole time, all the kids are like dancing around and stuff. I'm sitting there. Like, how the fuck are they moving both of their hands and the mouth at the same time? Like, I'm a child because I knew how puppets worked. I'm like, you need to have the hand go into the head of the puppet, and you got to be able to move the puppet's head, and you have the wires to move the arms. But now these niggas are out here moving their hands and dancing and moving their heads.
Kenan, you was the 6-year-old, like when you was in 2nd grade, you told the whole class Santa Claus ain't real.
Yeah, you that nigga that did that. Every 2nd grade is Christmas. You the nigga that you the nigga that ruined it right before Christmas break, nigga. Niggas get out of school December 16th. Everybody ready. Oh, I sent a letter to Santa. You know he ain't real. What? My mama said he real. Santa's your mama and daddy. Well, my daddy went to the store. Your daddy ran away. Like, you that nigga that was fucking English, nigga.
I'm in there getting into arguments with the 2nd grade teacher about Santa Claus. She's like, no, bitch.
She telling you to shut the fuck up
to these children.
No, nigga, you can't be the nigga like, hey, that puppet ain't got strings. How the fuck it? Look, ain't nobody moving his hand. Like, you can't be. You are a horrible child. I know you're an adult.
That's how Jehovah's Witnesses raised us, man.
I came lousy motherfucker. Y'all some lousy motherfuckers.
It was weird, but at 12 years old, I chose to be a Jehovah's Witness. Like, I saw him on a bus stop. to me, it made sense. So I rocked with it for like 8 years after that. My mother was just happy they had a babysitter. Somebody come by and watch.
Oh, that's hilarious.
While she do whatever she do when she used to smoke weed. He said, "You better go to Bible study."
So
hey, but my nerd upbringing, y'all. Yeah. Perspective, man. Stop trying to change the name.
Oh,
we're gonna change the name. We're gonna change it to experience. This was gonna happen. We're gonna change it to experience. We're gonna get a $10 million contract, and Jay gonna be like, "Yo," because on episode 8, I'm the one that coined that shit. I knew it was perspective. I coined it. I just want you to know that you said it, not me. So that's even part of episode 8, nigga. That's part of the contract, right? That's part of the contract. Like, you said it, nigga. I didn't have to say it.
Well, most shit on this episode just fuck it up. Just
nah. But let me get my nerd upbringing. It's similar to Jay's, man. I've just always been very inquisitive since I was a little kid. I was wondering about death when I was 5. I would have those conversations. I used to like look at anthills and just squat and look at ants for hours. I tried to make my own ant farm. There was ants all over the house and shit. Like I put them in a shoebox. I put some sugar cubes and shit. You know what I'm saying? And I used to draw, but when I used to draw, I used to trace the comics. I used to trace over them. And then eventually I could look at them and I can draw them. And then eventually I used to draw myself. Like I used to want to be a comic book artist. I love video games. I had Atari, Nintendo. Never had a Genesis. Fuck Genesis. I'm a Super Nintendo guy. I'm a Nintendo guy. Super Nintendo, PlayStation, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Just I've always had a creative mindset. I've always liked like science and just pondering about the universe and philosophy and shit like that. So, you know what I mean? I grew up in the hood. Like I'm from Florida too, but I was raised in South Jersey for the first 10 years, and I've been in Hartford, Connecticut for the past 30. Hartford, Connecticut. If you know about Hartford, especially in the early 90s. It was gang wars like crazy. But it was a group of us, like in high school, we all had our portfolios with our comic book drawings and shit like that. And I'm in the back writing stories and drawing. I got a fucking attic full of just art. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I come from. To this day, I'm 43. Man, I'm playing Event Horizon West or whatever. That game is phenomenal, man. I'm gonna play video games till my fingers can't work no more, man. You know, but I just love thinking beyond this surface bullshit, beyond the politics, beyond race. You know what I mean? I just love art, and I just love just nerdy things. I think nerd is kind of like, I don't know, it got like a negative connotation. I don't really like calling it that shit. Like when I hear blerd and nerd, I don't like that. I don't like for me personally. I just like, yo, we just some niggas that just appreciate elevated shit. You know?
Well, I agree with you in regards to that because the term nerd was meant. Look, it's gonna be the weirdest comparison the dark skinned nigga on the light skin perspective is making. So it's gonna be the weirdest comparison the dark skinned nigga makes. The term nerd had the same connotation and effect the word nigga does, and here's what I mean. Nerd was used to be a bad thing to bully kids in school, different people, things like that by the jocks, right? Mm-hmm. But nerd all of a sudden meant somebody too who was super smart, who was super into something, and it was a different thing. Nigga the same way. Black people, we took that word. Now don't get me wrong. So if you are of the lighter perspective, and by that I mean white, and you start saying black people nigga, we're gonna slap the dog shit out you. We're gonna slap you. But we did take power from it to turn it to a sort of term of endearment. Nerd is the same thing. Like you don't call nobody a nerd anymore, and people be like, "Oh man, I can't believe they call me a nerd." People call nerd.
It's the cool thing now.
You're cool, and that's the small. And I know a lot of people now who have that small problem with that because of how it's culturally accepted. Because now it's an in thing to be. There were niggas running around with like I'll never play gatekeeper, never will. But now you got people running around with comic book shirts and everything and anime and stuff and never rocked with it. Like, again, if you get into anime now and you into it and you rock with it, cool. But to do it just to be like, I'm part of this, like, everybody like, yo, sit your ass down somewhere.
You say, you wasn't with me when I was getting bullied in the lunchroom?
Right, you wasn't with me with this. You ain't understand this whole walk of life. You ain't understand that, like. And
people just making fun of you because of your intelligence. I moved from Jersey. You know how much I got bullied because I spoke properly? I literally had to dumb down my verbiage just to avoid getting in fights. That's crazy to me, yo. And that's poor parenting. Because any kid that's shitting on other kids because they speak properly, that is directly from the parents, man. If you're like 11 years old, come on now.
I never did that shit. I never did that. We moved up north. We moved up north to Pennsylvania, and from there, it was all white people at my school. So,
and then all these chicks nowadays like nerds now. Where you hoes was at 20 years ago, man, when I was nerdy with no buns.
Now, here's the deal, though. This is something I noticed. Like, of course, the term is now nerds fuck, and we know this. Like, look, I'm gonna say this as a caveat without divulging too much information. As a nerd who is paid to go to Comic-Cons, to speak on panels and do interviews, nerds fuck. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But now, it's, you know what? Like, the thing is, there was nerds who were fucking back in the day. It's just it wasn't known. Like they wouldn't make it known they was fucking them, because again, it's not the popular thing to do.
To
like BBWs,
women.
Back in the days,
women treat nerds like fat chicks.
Yeah, like BBW. Maybe Kenny, me, you thinking like too much. That's just crazy. But like BBWs, like back in the days, it was shameful. Nowadays with Lizzo, you got your big. You see Marlon Randolph. He shared Lizzo picture every day, talking about that's my boo. I think he's trolling, but
and the thing about it is, I'm sure each one of us have gone with women that, from a worldly standpoint, they're gorgeous. Like, you look at me like, holy, you know what I mean? And the thing about it is, it was this understanding where it's like, yo, you got, because a lot of women do like smarts. A lot of women do like intelligence. A lot of women do like men with confidence that know their shit. But then there's that social pressure, and you see that a lot now on social media. You'll see girls, you'll see women, and I've actually been on a date. You'll see women that will be so hard to be like, I'm not a nerd and I'm not this and I'm that, but I'll fuck you on the low. You know what I mean? But
where they at? Holla at me.
But the perception that the image they want to project is, I'm one of the cool people. So you still have people out there that want to not be, and again, I agree with you. I think there's a negative connotation to nerd, and I think people don't really know what it really means. Because, like, for example, okay, so there's three terms, right? There's nerd, which as a noun, according to Google, it's a foolish or contemptible person who lacks social skills or is boring studious. The verb is engaging in or discussing a technical field obsessively or with great attention to detail, which necessarily isn't a bad thing. If you're an engineer, you're a nerd. If you're a movie director, you're a nerd. If you're a writer, you're a nerd. If you're a podcaster, you're a nerd. If you are into relationships or hip hop or music, you're a
whatever
nerd.
You study or you're into deeply.
You are a nerd at that.
Right.
Yep.
So everybody is a nerd. That's about something.
Yeah.
Everyone that's about something.
Everybody's an expert at something, even if it's an expert at being lazy. You're a nerd at laying down.
So then black people co-opted it for black nerds or blerds because, and we'll get to this in a minute, Jay, about that huge divide between black people that are interested in these things and other people that are in that field. Then you go to geeks, which are unfashionable or socially inept people. And then the verb is engaged in or discuss computer-related takes obsessively or with great attention to technical detail. So notice nerd is technical field, geek is specifically for computers for some reason. But if you're a black geek, then I'm going to call that a G-E-E-K or a GK.
And if you're a geek, you got to talk like, hi, everybody. Would you like to eat some cheese with me? We're going to have a good time. It's real hysterical.
First of all, if a nigga asking it, I ain't saying it this way, but if a nigga asking a bitch, hey, you want to eat cheese? That nigga deserves to be bullied. I hate to say it. Any nigga that just read, hey, bitch, you just want to eat cheese? Not even like, hey, baby, I got this brie over here. It's nicely room temperature. You want this brie? Hey, you want cheese? I got string cheese in my pocket. Bully this nigga. Bully
I have
this
Gouda.
nigga.
I have Gouda. I have Jack.
At least
I have
get
Swiss. I
charcuterie-
have provolone.
At least get charcuterie board. What are you, Subway? Get charcuterie board. What the fuck are you talking about?
Hi, Linda. Linda, would you like some Munster? Like, you should bully this nigga. You should really bully this nigga.
And then,
That's funny. You know what's funny though? So, hold on, real quick,
wait,
Clean.
let
Like,
me finish the definition.
go
real
ahead.
quick.
Go ahead.
So
My
the
bad.
last, and this one is like the N word with ER in nerddom, dweeb. Because
okay.
dweeb-
Yeah, that's when you ready to fight niggas.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
mean you fight niggas.
Dweeb just means a boring, studious, and socially inept person. That's all it means.
What about
So
dork?
there's dork.
Yeah, it's
I didn't
another
look
one,
up.
man.
I didn't look up dork.
See?
I'm trying to see.
You should
what's
know,
worse.
man. That's all your attributes.
Yo! Nigga, you call me a dweeb. We fighting in these streets. Oh, dweeb ass nigga. What? Yo, we got to square up. We got to square
A
up.
dork, contemptible, socially inept person. I don't think I'm socially inept. Mo Green.
Nah, you be getting buns. You get buns. I give it to you. You get buns. But you know what's funny? Like some of the, like these newer chicks, these little Generation Z. I'm a nerd. I'm such a nerd. Wolverine, he has great X-ray vision. I'm like, bitch, you ain't no. What? you. I love Cyclops. He can see through walls. Like you just starting. You perpetrating.
Like my thing is like, but here's the thing about that though. Here's the thing about that. You're always gonna have people, whether they're men or women, who are gonna say something to appeal to the opposite sex if they're trying to vibe and rock with them, right? They're gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? They ain't always gonna know it. Now, if you're just trying to do it, some people do it just to try to fit in, all this other shit. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you could just look at them weird. You be like, you realize that's hella wrong, but whatever. Yeah. And especially if they're just not, because there's some people who just say shit that's dumb to be saying dumb shit to try to fit in. Right. But then there's some that's saying they're trying to impress people. And if you're trying, I'm like, I get where you're going. Wolverine, oh my God, he just need to get a haircut. Bitch, I'll kill you. Like, I don't, but nah, I get it. It's all right. I get it.
Yeah.
What's your guys' favorite video game console?
Oh, man.
Super Nintendo for me.
The one that impacted me the most, like, oh, shit. You know what's funny? The biggest impact to me was like the Nintendo NES. Because when you go from the 8-bit stick figures of Atari and then to the two-dimensional, it was such a ridiculous leap. It was like we never saw nothing like that. We literally went from stick figures to two-dimensional images. Like, because like now, PS4, PS5, yes, the PS5 is better, but the PS4 is still dope. I ain't even get a 5. Like, there's not that crazy difference. But that NES, but I think I'm gonna have to agree with Jay. I think Super Nintendo, that was a joint though.
Because
Super
you got to
Nintendo's
remember when Super Nintendo came out and when Super Mario World, when you first, the colors it showed you for the first time, that was the dopest thing about Super Mario Bros. Because it was like Sonic showed you a certain color palette, right? When Genesis came out, but Mario 64, whatever. What the fuck was it? Not Super Mario
64.
Mario World. Mario World.
Yeah, Mario World. Yeah.
Mario World changed the game and color spectrums, what you saw. And you were like, what the fuck?
Oh. What about Donkey Kong Country? When that came out,
yep.
The 3D-ness of it, like there was nothing like that. It was phenomenal. Like Super Nintendo, they pushed even NES, they pushed their systems to the limit as far as like the maximum they can do. Like the NES was competing with Sega Genesis, and it was 8-bit, and Sega Genesis was 16. And we sound nerdy as fuck right now. This shit funny.
What's wrong with that?
No, I'm just. Let
me tell you something.
I'm not used to this.
The Genesis came out, and it was that ongoing battle between Super Nintendo and Genesis. Because everyone kept trying to up each other in games. Like Genesis threw out Sonic, Altered Beast, Kid Chameleon, Echo the Dolphin, Shinobi, yes, and yes, nigga, I said Echo the Dolphin. They threw all this shit out. You know what I'm saying? But then Super Nintendo was like, all right, bet, here's Super Mario World, here's Killer Instinct, here's Mortal Kombat elevated even more. And so it just kept each one kept evolving because they tried to top the other.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sega used to say Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah. Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Yeah. That was a great. That was a great.
Do you remember? Did you guys ever play The Lion King on Sega Genesis?
Nah. See, I'm a few years older. I'm a few years older than you, Kenan. So like things that you experienced, I probably was too old to appreciate it. I got you by like
the
8
Lion
years.
King was
5 years.
Infamous for being one of the hardest games.
Yeah, you couldn't beat it was like, yo, this game is supposed to be easy and fun, and this niggas keep dying from hyenas left and right. Like fuck, man.
Like I could never get past the Stampede level. The Stampede level was hard as shit.
And that's not just emotional, because that was an emotional scene in real life, nigga.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nah, the hardest game I ever played like Nintendo was Battletoads. I did not beat that as a youth. I have a Nintendo emulator. I got an emulator, so I beat in my old age. I've beaten a lot of games now because with the emulator, you could save at any point. You could save in the middle of the boss. Oh, he keep beating me. You could just keep saving like right where you left off,
and then start back over, nigga. But Battletoads and Ninja Turtles 1 were the most stressful shits.
Stressful.
Ninja Turtles 1 is the most stressful shit ever, nigga.
And that game was dope because it's like you could ride around in a van, but you can walk around with your character and stuff like that. It was like 2 or 3 games mixed into one. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like actually the precursor to like Grand Theft Auto and all that. It was a game called Golgo 13. Golgo 13 was dope because it was a first person shooter like Operation Wolf, but then you can get out and fight and shoot, and you can ride inside helicopters. You know what I'm saying? And then it had like a first person view, like whenever you go in certain buildings, it would be like a different mazes and shit like that. But Golgo 13, that was a precursor to like GTA, all them shits. Hell yeah.
Nigga, they're actually doing one of my favorite video games growing up. They just announced it yesterday. They're doing live action. Streets of Rage. Nigga, I am geeked. Bro, they are doing the Streets of Rage, the video game I don't care what nobody says. Streets of Rage is a movie or a TV show, whatever, has to be violent as fuck. That is the only way this works. It can't be passive. It can't be a little bit of violence. It can't be niggas got to get hit with a pipe. Do you understand what I'm saying? Niggas got to get stabbed repeatedly.
Yeah, Streets of Rage. I remember it had the big dude, the skinny dude, and the one that's
the chick, in the middle, and the girl. Yeah. I remember that game. Yeah, hell yeah, that was my shit. It was kind of like that game was like modeled kind of like after Double Dragon, a little bit. Yeah, because Double Dragon elevated because you had Final Fight, you had Final Fight, you had Streets of Rage, you had all of them. They would elevate the fighting level of like, it was something about the 90s with video games that was all about, we finna show you street fighting, like literally niggas on the street like brawling.
Bad dudes. Remember Bad Dudes? Yeah, hell yeah. That was it. Hell yeah, man. Yep. But see, I feel like I'm older than both of y'all because I mentioned some games and y'all kind of confused. Like,
wait,
I'm 43. I'm 43.
I'll be 42 this year. So you're not really that much. We're right in the same way. Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. But you know that 2 years sometimes make a little difference though when you're young.
I mean, because certain things that drop, like you might miss out on. Let's just be real.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hell yeah, man.
Oof. Well,
you good? Kenan look like he about to orgasm on all this nerd talk. He's like, oh my god, I love it so much. It's so great. You guys keep talking about like nerd stuff and I like it. Yeah.
That's the voice that Mo has for me when he has his fantasy every night.
This is a weird perspective, y'all.
Yeah, hey man, I've been having a dry spell, man. Is what it is. Your baldy's shiny, man.
Mo has a nerdy cuckold fantasy.
Hey, quick question, Jay. Has anybody ever compared you to? Because when I first saw your picture, I thought you were another actor. His name is Marcello Thetford.
Never heard of him.
Look him up. You look just like that dude. Marcello, Marcello Thetford. Thed. When I saw your picture, I was like, "Oh shit!" Because they actually did a '90s con in my city a couple weeks ago, and there was a whole bunch of celebrities.
Shit!
That's what I'm saying. You look just like home. Even your energy. I talked to home. Y'all like the same person, yo. That shit is crazy, yo. Yep.
For people,
look just like wait.
Hey, hold on! I had to look at this nigga like, "Is this me?"
He probably beat you out for a couple roles. He's been doing it a little bit longer than you.
I would not be surprised
because y'all both look exactly the same. Like it's,
and the nigga got a stronger resume than I have, so of course
he got 40. Yeah, he got 40. He was in 40 titles. You've been in over 20. Yeah, but I'm looking at him. I'm like, yo, y'all can't. But he's tall. He's like 6'5", though, 6'4". Big dude.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. But y'all cats, like, I thought it was you. I thought this is who we were interviewing today. But he was on the game. You know, the football show, the game.
Yeah, I remember the game,
but he played a gay football player.
I remember that because I remember the whole big deal was about him finally coming out on the show. His character coming out. I remember that.
Yeah, yep.
I know exactly who that is.
That's your doppelganger, man. So you connect with his publicist, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know,
hey, man, y'all want to play this nigga's life story?
If you do something out of pocket, just say I'm Marcelo, man. That's it.
Just say I'm him. Just like, hey, that ain't me, bro. Swear to God, that ain't me.
Y'all dudes identical, man. That shit is crazy. I'm from the same African tribe.
Kenan, you all right over there?
Look, Kenan is in love right now. This cat's like, oh my God,
I'm still trying to push through this hangover, but
that's what it is.
Yeah,
that's what it is,
bro. Let me tell you something. First of all, this is how I know you need to get your life together. You what?
I went to another bar afterwards, but go ahead.
Never mind then.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Y'all was hanging out last night?
It wasn't those two old fashions. It was literally like, oh, let me go to another bar.
So one of our homies, he was doing a show out here in Sherman Oaks, and we went to go support him. And so we all just had a couple drinks there and whatnot. And so I thought, I came back to the crib. I thought he was going to the crib. We was like, all right, fuck it, we done. Because they started doing karaoke at the spot. And karaoke can be cool, but it was just really fluorescent karaoke. And I was like, I won't be around for this. And so
fluorescent.
Very fluorescent karaoke.
I can imagine zesty.
Man, look, it was real. It was a lot of Mayo Sapiens.
Let it go.
No, not even that. It wasn't even that. It was just a lot of Mayo Sapiens. And so I was just like, I'm good. I'm going to get up out of here. And so I came back to the crib. And then, where'd you end up going?
Good Night. Good Night's down the street from my house. So I was like, let me swing to the Good Night real quick.
So you went from one karaoke spot to another.
Yeah, but Good Night actually has like women that do karaoke. So I'm like, let me go over here real quick. And
That's fair. That's fair.
Black women are hanging out, and that was a group, but I just had my drink and I just bounced. Woke up this morning.
Nice.
Well, I want to talk to you about Jay in the Blerd space. Let's talk about this gatekeeping bullshit. That
as far as go ahead.
Well, it's a lot of things that people outside don't really know what it is, and I didn't know what it was until I hung out with other Blerds on Clubhouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what has happened, unfortunately, it has turned the Blerd space into a very unenjoyable space to be, which is why now I only hang out with Jay or maybe like a couple other people. Like I'm not into let's go hang out with a bunch of because this is the thing. Back in the 90s, we were taught that being a nerd made you a good person. That's what we were taught.
Mm-hmm.
So now those people they've grown up and they think that they can't do no wrong because they're the underdog, but they're actually a bunch of assholes that ruin people's lives. And some of them have become like what Jay was saying earlier. I'm not going to let anyone else in because this is my shit.
Right.
So they use toxic tactics to keep people out of this blurred space, whatever that is, which is just, I don't know, liking movies, liking comic books. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but like, Jay, do you know what I'm talking about? Like how would you explain it?
Let me tell you something. I'm blessed and fortunate enough to work in this space, which with a lot of people who talk about this shit on the internet and a lot of people who are Blerds and they try to do, they literally, it's not to sound egotistical. They try to get to this point where I'm at, where I can pay bills talking about what I love, where I get brought into Comic-Cons and do panels and stuff like that. And the thing is, people are trying to up one another. Here's the thing. There is enough nerddom and enough space for everybody. Now, can everybody be at the top per se? Absolutely not. But when people are sitting there like, yo, you don't know what you're talking about. They can't talk about that. They shouldn't talk about this. They shouldn't do that. It's like, it doesn't matter. Motherfuckers are all sharing the same internet space. You know what I'm saying? One of the things I've decided to, when I'm on different networks, it got to the point people first saw me and they were like, yo, he just trying to fit in with them. I've never forget people saw me on Collider and like some of the YouTube comments and Screen Junkies and be like, why he trying to just fit in and act like that's not him? And then people started seeing me more and was like, oh, that's just him. And he don't give a fuck. Like, cause I'm the nigga that would be in a YouTube video, literally looking at the camera and be like, hi, internet, and literally call them out. And they'd be like, how can you do that easily? Because I know you're going to think I'm going to care what you got to say. But here's the thing you don't realize. A, you're not going to whoop my ass. We already know this. B, if you see me in person, you're not going to have that same energy. Because I've met people like that, especially black nerds who literally want to be all this certain way and aggressive. And when they meet you, they're fans. And it's like, yo, what's the point? I just, there's none of us own any of these properties. None of it.
Facts.
We don't own none of this shit. We don't own no Marvel characters, no DC characters, no Image, no Dark Horse, no anime, no Studio Ghibli, no Funimation. We don't own none of this shit. All we own is our own individual perspectives on things. And if we have a platform, our platform we may own, but the way people be acting like, nah, he don't know what she talking about. She don't know what she talking about. They just got into it. They can't talk about it. How they gonna have something? Stop that shit. It's annoying, bro. And then even when it comes into Blerds and still on Blerds, it's gotten, for lack of better words, and many times, very hotepish in a lot of times. You got to tell niggas like, bro, calm down, fam. You're talking about nerd shit. You're talking about comic books, dog. When you calling out somebody else or whatever, it's just about, we're talking comic book shit, bro. It is not that. I say that in every video, any review I do, any, reaction or what have I put something on the YouTube. If I put something on YouTube, I always say at the end, yo, like, how you tell people, leave what you got to say in the comments. And I literally say, keep it civil, because at the end of the day, we are talking about comic books. It is not that serious.
Exactly.
Not worth disrespecting people. I didn't know how serious it was.
Not at all.
I didn't know how serious it was until, like I said, I got on Clubhouse. And I, quote unquote, viewed myself as a nerd, and I was like, oh, well, maybe I should make a space for like black nerds or whatever. So I made this group called Blerdz United Inc. on Clubhouse, right? And I should have known, because the first time that I had somebody, I had somebody come and 2 people cried in like our first room.
Like literally cried?
Yeah,
that shit you transformed that shit to the shade room.
Like we were just hanging out and we were introducing ourselves, and like people were coming in and it's like, yeah, my dad just died and blah 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 blah, and they just started crying, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm literally like, what the fuck is happening?
What does this have to do with video games?
Nigga, that is therapy. That is a whole nother room.
So what started happening was that people were coming into my rooms to trauma dump instead of actually talk about the thing at hand, and then politics. And what I'm realizing is that there's a lot of, in the Blerd space, there's a lot of sexism, there's a lot of homophobia and all that shit, right? So what happens is a lot of these people are defensive. So we used to have a lot of blurred women that would come in and blur LGBT, blur gay people that would come in, and they would jump at everything. You know what I mean, Jay? Like he would. And me, I've never hung out with them, so and I'm a comedian, so I'm just there like just talking about it, and then all of a sudden the room would stop and just be like, "Don't you dare say that she likes Twilight. That's sexist." And we're like, "What the fuck?" We're like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Wait, what?
Like, people were flipping out, and what I realized was that there's this trauma because, like Jay said, there's a lot of dudes that use Hotepian tactics and
Hotepian tactics is the best word ever, nigga.
Yo, let me mark this clip because that's going to be a clip.
Let me mark that. Tactics to keep people out, just like how white nerds got mad that there was a black dude in Star Wars, even though there's talking fish and giant monkey dudes and
it's just like if
different planets and people with tentacles and shit. A black dude, and everyone's like, why does it have to be political when it's
nigga? The Lord of the Rings prequel showed a black elf and motherfuckers lost their mind. I put on Twitter, I said, wait, Because I put the meme up of Peter Griffin when he get pulled over with the color chart. I said, bro, it's over in Elf. People were like, well, what about fair? I said, yo, an elf isn't a real motherfucking thing.
Yeah.
You can make an elf whatever color, race, gender, whatever you want. That shit blows. When people do that dumb shit, and I'm sorry to get MP because you just maybe hit this note. When
go ahead,
sit
man.
there and go, when you get people who go, like you get white people go, well, what if they turned Black Panther white? And this is how I know anybody that ever says that stupid ass line has never read a comic book. Because you know what I tell them? There already is a character like that. It's called the White Wolf. Like clearly you've never read a comic. You've never read a comic. That's what the White Wolf is in the comics. That's why when they reference the White Wolf in Black Panther or Civil War, that's what it was referencing. There's a character that is the Black Panther, but he's white. It's the White Wolf. So when people say that, like again, when people keep going with Superman, this, that, and the third, yeah, there's Val Zod. Yeah, there's you know what I'm saying, there's Val Zod and all this shit, right? I get it. But at the same time, guess what Superman is? A fucking alien. He's a fucking alien. People are like, oh, well, he was drawn white. Yeah, because you can't draw a dude all about truth, justice, and the American way in the 40s and make him black.
Exactly, yo.
You can't make him black in the 40s. Motherfuckers losing their mind because Jonathan Kent is gay in a comic. Nigga, it's a comic. It's not Clark Kent. So you're already mad if they try to turn Clark Kent another race or whatever. Okay, cool. You got your Clark. His son can be whatever the fuck they want then. So now that's just white people. Black people, oh, why we gotta have these characters? Why can't we have our own? Here's the problem with a lot of people that say that shit. You don't support the ones that's out there.
Facts.
If I ask you niggas about Milestone, you don't know shit. The only one you gonna tell me is Static Shock. Yeah, nigga, what about Icon? What about Rocket? What about Hardware? What about the whole Dakota verse? Tell me about that. I'm sorry, my bad, Jesus. I couldn't.
No, that's real. That's some real. That's some real shit.
Pause on that, because this is what I found out in the Blerd space is that to a certain extent, a lot of Blerds are anti-black.
Yes,
to a certain extent. To a certain extent, a lot of Blerds are anti-black. And unfortunately, what has happened, so what has happened in the Blerd space is that a lot of Blerds are dealing with trauma. When they were children, when they were kids, they were bullied by other black people. Other shit in their household, maybe something happened to them with their parents, you know what I mean? Maybe they were adopted. You know, a lot of people have gone through a lot of things in their life, and what they really need is therapy, right? But their therapy has come through nerddom, comic books, video games, and all that stuff, right? So there's a special place in their heart. However, and this is speaking generally, some people have a inept self-hatred because of their circumstances that they've had in the past, right? So what happens is that gets melded with nerddom, and when you say stuff like, well, what about Bitterroot? What about Tuskegee Airs? What about Crescent City Monsters? What about Black? What about Pimp My Airship? You know, what about what else do I have? What about Excellence? You know what I mean? What about, you know, what about all of these independent Black comics that were created? Oh, well, I don't like the author because he's X, Y, and Z. And it's like, do you know how many conversations I've had where we were talking about the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they talked about how problematic Anthony Mackie was, but how great Sebastian Stan was?
This is a problem I hate a lot. And I look, no actor is perfect. Not a single motherfucker on this planet, right? Everybody got something. Anthony Mackie has things outside of his work, right? But if I'm just comparing what Sam Wilson, the Falcon, does on the screen, I don't need you to bring up Anthony Mackie's life to me at the moment. Exactly. Because that's not relevant to what I'm talking about. Now, I know some people will bring up, well, J.K. Rowling is on that shit. Look, that shit she do is way out and beyond, like, what she does. But Anthony Mackie problematic. Why? Because some people have the weirdest reasons. Also, those words, when people bring that shit up, bro, like, what makes them, quote-unquote, problematic? because that term has gotten so used so much.
Well, what people, and this is what a lot of, because people are so desperate to see themselves in material, right? So a lot of people were trying to ship Anthony Mackie and Falcon and Winter Soldier. And when Anthony Mackie was like, "No, we're not gay," then people were like, "Well, he's being problematic because," and it's like, but they're not gay.
You say who
Falcon
you
and
are.
Winter Soldier aren't gay.
That's what, and you know what, and I said this on Blerds in the Hood. I said this on Mad Titan. I've said this in every platform I can. I understand people do fanfics where they want to put people together and they want to assume people are together, or they want to assume there's quote unquote sexual tension and whatever. But all characters aren't like that just because that's what you want to see. And so for him to say, "No, we're not," like, yo, but because everybody was like, "Yo, Bucky and fucking Steve's supposed to be fucking," but now Steve's dead. So now Bucky is trying to have a regular relationship. You know what I'm saying? He went from trying to fuck with the Asian girl that worked at the restaurant to almost smashing Sam's sister. Sam out here just doing him. So what's wrong with that? Again, if the characters are going to be homosexual, transsexual, whatever, if it naturally happens like that, then that be the case. Then they'd let it be what it be. But the way motherfuckers try to force it to make it happen, like, nah, and you can't get mad when somebody called it out that that's not what it is.
And then when it doesn't happen, then they're like, we need to boycott Marvel. But then they don't really boycott Marvel. They don't.
No.
They boycott Anthony Mackie.
First of all, and that's another word that's gotten problematic and boycott have lost all meaning. The word boycott has no meaning anymore. Boycott literally used to mean when you boycotted something, there was an effect felt by it, not just a bunch of fucking tweets. You know what I'm saying? Not a hashtag on social media, and this company or whatever or whoever it is still is doing what they do because it doesn't matter. People they abuse words so much nowadays that the power in which they had, the relevancy in which they had, it doesn't have that same feel or sting anymore.
And it's because a lot of these statements are led by emotion versus logic. Like, I mean, if you want to make change, it takes logistical planning. Like, we're nerds. We're supposed to be good at planning shit. You know, we're supposed to be good at coming up with viable points of action, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that when you're just when you're just swinging with emotion.
Right.
Where's the town hall meeting?
But even if you have a town hall meeting, the problem is, again, there are so many, I understand some things have to be dealt with via emotion, but there also has to be a level of rationale behind that. There has to be an understanding of common sense. Anything that's just based off of, fueled off of, and moved off of emotion purely is not going to be right. Again, when people get married, there's emotion involved, but there is some common sense and rationale and everything applied to that. Yeah, I'm in love with this person, head over heels. They give me the butterflies in the stomach, et cetera, et cetera. I get all these feelings. But then you're like, this person isn't good for me. That's what rationale kicks in.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I ended up getting canceled out the Blerd United group anyway. So
That's terrible.
I'm not messing with them. I'm not messing with them anymore. But and what's interesting about it too was that I actually, you know what kind of took me away from superhero movies? Like, I'm still a cinephile, I'm still a film nerd, but I like movies that are outside of the superhero space. And you know why? Because that was my fucking job for 4 years.
I get that.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
I used to work on superhero movies, and after the first 10 is exciting, but then when it's like, nigga, all these movies are superhero movies.
Well,
Yo, but all you was doing was getting people coffee though. You wasn't even really doing nothing. You was just getting donuts and shit.
So nigga, you was a gopher. That nigga said you was a dead gopher, nigga.
This motherfucker went for craft services.
I mean, I guess it wasn't as good as driving.
My life's terrible. I know that.
Driving
I accept my shit.
Family Matters cast members around.
Oh yeah, I drove Mary Jo Patton.
Jo Marie Patton.
She's the most beautiful soul, and it's crazy because during Comic-Con it was so many conceited celebrities. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna call no names out, and I was done with celebrities. And then when I found out I had to pick her up, I was like, I ain't gonna talk to this woman. She had the biggest smile. She ain't have no mask on. She's like, "Come on, baby, help me with my bags."
Let me tell you something.
She was so sweet, man.
Bro, I interviewed her and Kyla Pratt together when I did the Proud Family Junket. And she was like, "Oh, look at this sexy man here." And I was like, let me tell y'all something. Harriet Winslow just called me sexy. Fuck the rest of this interview, nigga. Nothing matters no more, nigga. Nothing matters.
Except family.
I was done with Hollywood. Like it was such an intense shuttling these people like all conceited, keeping their masks on. Like I had Cal Mitchell. I had Cal Mitchell event. I didn't even realize it until later on. He took his mask off. He was cool, but they were just so standoffish and funny acting, man. And to have her, she just can't, because I was done with Hollywood when her loving energy made me realize, okay, they not all fucked up assholes. Like she was a beautiful soul, man, beautiful. And Darius McCray, he was there too. You know what I'm saying? Like he was seeing her off when I picked her up. He was real cool too.
Mr. Corinne Steffens himself.
You mean Mr. City Star?
I asked him, I was like, how's that City Star? Like, you know what I'm saying? No, I ain't saying.
So here's my thing. This is something, and I kind of, you know what, I working in Hollywood, working as not just the nerd shit, not just the interviews, doing a lot of TV and film shit. You meet people, right? And you meet a lot of people who do have these egos. Many of them are unwarranted. But this is something I learned real quick, how finicky people are. And this can apply to a litany of fucking folks. I've been in spaces, I've been in some of these Comic-Con spots where some of these celebrities are at, right? And I'm just in the back. They don't know me. But I know who they are because we have a mutual friend, and their mutual friend is a good friend of mine, right? So I'd be like, yo, just want to introduce myself. We got a mutual friend. And they'd be like, who? And I tell them who they are. And I'm like, yo, they'd be like, how you know them? And I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, shit. Their whole perspective changes. When I got a buddy, I got somebody, you know what I'm saying, I've been cool with for a minute. When they found out I knew somebody's wife, like I knew somebody and their wife, and I'd been at their house numerous times, they was like, well, damn, how come I ain't never seen you at the crib? Everything changed. And I'm looking at them like, nigga, are you for real? Like, I'm the same dude that just talked to you 30 seconds prior. Not a minute, not 5-10 minutes, not an hour, 30 seconds prior. And you almost wanted to treat me like my name was Stan in this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
But now you know our 6 degrees of separation is down to a degree. A degree. You know what I'm saying? And it's sometimes I'm not that dude, and I swear for that on my kids. I am not the drop my resume dude. I've never been that dude. Unless you piss me off, I'm the drop. Like, it be some comics I don't know, like niggas, like brand new comics, and I'll be like, nigga, don't talk. I was like, bro, before you talk to me, check my IMDb page. Let's not do this. Before when you can match me on that, don't do that. But it was one dude, he was talking, and I was like, hey man, I said, yo, you and I have worked with the same people. We have. How have we worked together? I said, nigga, I'm one of the main cast members of Chirac. Wait, which one was you? I said, nigga, I'm the one with Wesley Snipes. Oh, shit, that is you. Nigga's whole mentality changed. But it's like now I'm soured on you because how you've acted. Because I don't give a, because I'm that dude because of where I'm from. Being from Chicago, I'm that nigga that I don't give a fuck what you've done in your life. If you don't come to me as a regular person with with a modicum of respect, I don't give a shit. Like I've met the top tier A-listers. I've met all these people. And again, I don't care about all that. That shit don't matter to me. It's who are you here? Where are you at in your heart? Who are you as a person? And if I can't rock with you as a person, then I don't fucking need to be around you.
Facts, man.
All right. Well,
let me mark that clip. That's a clip right there. That's a sound bite. We got to mark that too.
Before we wrap up, quick, Jay, what's your favorite video game, TV show, and movie?
Favorite video game is Kid Chameleon. Favorite TV show would have to be, what's the TV show I consistently? Key and Peele. It actually bumped up Dave Chappelle a little bit because they covered a gamut of things. Like I love watching Chappelle's show, but what the Key and Peele did, how they was just covering their last season when they did the cop who just was shooting everything, and he would see white people and he would tell them to go, and a black person like you had Justin Hyatt's character had a motherfucking giraffe. A nigga had a banana and the cop just shooting him. Key and Peele, my favorite movie. This is gonna be the wildest one for people here. I have a tie between my favorite movies. It's Total Recall, the original, and the Ten Commandments. Because the Ten Commandments, the original Ten Commandments movie, it took what cinema was. Again, I'm a bit of a cinephile as well. Mm-hmm. The original Ten Commandments took cinema to a whole nother level at the time. And it still holds up to this day.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. How about you, Mel?
Video game, I would have to say Uncharted. Pick anyone. I mean, you could say Grand Theft Auto, but I think it's so much different things going on with Grand Theft Auto. They can't really push the graphics because that shit is like 1,000 games in one, whether you're driving, you're flying, you're playing golf, or whatever. But Uncharted, just the storyline, like the angles, you know what I mean? Like the voiceover acting, the characters, the art, like and Uncharted is amazing, man. I can't wait till they come out with the next one for the PS5 or whatever. You said movie, second one, movie, right?
TV show, movie.
Oh, TV show. It fluctuates and it changes. At the moment, it's Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul is fire. I mean, it's Breaking Bad. It's an extension of Break.
I have to watch Better Call. So I watched Breaking Bad. Let me tell you something. I was that dude that refused to watch Breaking Bad when it was airing.
Me too.
Same. Because their fans made me not want to watch it.
Me too.
Breaking Bad fans made you not want to watch it because they were like, it's the greatest thing ever in TV. And I was like, bro, calm down. And I watched it. I was like, this is dope. Right. I was like, this is a dope ass show. Yeah. But the level motherfuckers putting it on. So I'm going to wait till Better Call Saul is done. Then I'm going to watch it all.
Well, if you like Breaking Bad, you didn't watch Breaking Bad either, huh?
Oh, no, I did. I ended up watching it. I liked it.
If you like Breaking Bad, because it's Better Call Saul, it's a prequel.
Yes,
you know
the
what
prequel.
I mean? But so Gus is back, so you get to enjoy Gus Fring. But just Bob Odenkirk, he's just such a great actor, man. And I didn't realize he was a stand-up comic before he became.
Yes,
an actor.
He was.
But it's just riveting. It's just certain scenes just have you like just watching. Like I'm not even paying attention to my phone. If you could like get rid of my ADD, it's some good entertainment.
Yes,
but Better Call Saul, that's my current favorite. But all time, probably like The Wire, but it fluctuates. But Better Call Saul, all time favorite movies. As a child, Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom. I always love that movie because it's like two movies. It's like three movies in one. It starts off as this gangster, casino, whatever, robbery type thing. And then it just transforms into some trying to meet Satan, underground, devil worshiping. You know what I mean? It's dope. It's dope. But overall favorite movies, Swingers and Clerks. Those are my two movies. It always bounces between both of them. And the funny thing is, Swingers was inspired by Clerks. You understand? It's basically the protagonist and the antagonist, they're friends. You know what I mean? It's super dialogue driven, not that much action, no shooting. It's all cerebral and it's low budget. They're both Miramax films. If you are an aspiring stand-up comedian, and you watch Swingers, you really appreciate it because he runs an open mic in LA. He broke up with his girlfriend in New York. He's been living out there for 6 months. He's trying to get over her. Him and his boys is hopping from bar to bar, club to clubs, and they're all in the entertainment industry. So it's like, I love that movie even before I became a comic, but once I became it, I appreciate it that much more. And Clerks, it just has some of the best dialogue ever because they're nerds. They talk about Star Wars and different comic books and different hypothetical situations. And now here's the funny thing. Kevin Smith was like the big comic book guy. Kevin Smith pretty much like inspired Jon Favreau, but Jon Favreau took that whole comic book angle and he just took it to the whole like next level. And that's how he produced the Avengers and all these great comic book movies and Star Wars and things of that nature. But Jon Favreau, basically, I be thinking like sometimes low key Kevin Smith probably don't like him because Jon Favreau took to the next level what Kevin Smith was starting to try to do.
I mean, because you got Jon Favreau in Daredevil. He plays Happy in Daredevil, and he goes from being Foggy. He's Foggy in Daredevil, and then turns around and is Happy in Iron Man as well as the director.
Yeah,
and you're like, huh?
Yeah.
And then goes into 2, and then they gave Shane Black 3, and I was like, why would we do these things?
Yeah.
But he turns around and still has some of the production credit for Avengers, turns around, and him and Dave Filoni rock shit out with Mandalorian. You're like,
that's what I'm saying.
But Kevin, but the thing with Kevin is, Kevin might not have the Marvel main connection. DC fuck with Kevin heavily.
Okay.
DC, like Kevin has directed so many episodes of the DC shows
and
all these different things. Kevin is in with DC heavy. Like it's of course it's not Marvel, which is Disney, but Kevin, Kevin good.
But like those movies, like especially if you watch Clerks, the way it's broken down, each scene they'll have like a hard ass like vocabulary word. It'll say like malfence or some shit like that. So I'm like 14 when it came out. So I'm looking up these words. So I'm being educated as I'm watching this like dope ass dialogue, and it's all dialogue driven. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't need action, you don't need fighting, you don't need killing. I mean, it's fun, but you can have a great movie.
It's niggas that work at a corner store. Like,
that's it.
It's it.
And it's like I've watched it probably 100 times. I could throw it on at any moment. It's like I said, Swingers and Clerks, it's pretty much the same movie if you really, really break it down. And I'll tell you another fun fact. Clerks actually inspired Friday. It's the same movie. Protagonist, antagonist is not protagonist, antagonist, but you got Ice Cube was like the more Ice Cube is Dante and Smokey is Jay. It's the same. It's the same shit. And if you look up, if you read up on it, Cube was like that. That inspired him. Clerks inspired him to make that movie. Low budget, 2 characters. Not too many different scenes. Like as far as like settings, backgrounds, or whatever. Man, I love it, man. Love those flicks, man.
Well, mine is my favorite video game. I think is GoldenEye 007.
Good choice. Good choice. 1997. Good choice.
My favorite TV show right now is Abbott Elementary.
Oh yeah, right now for sure.
Right now,
what does that? What streaming service does that come on?
It's from ABC, but you see it on Hulu, bro.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Make sure you watch it. Actually, the thing about Abbott Elementary is that right? Okay, let's put it this way. Right now is an amazing time for Black creatives.
Yeah,
we literally have some of the best shows on television, period. And I'm not talking about Black shows. I mean, we literally have some of the best shows on television, period, right now.
Yep.
There's other shows that have come out that they're not even close to what's going on in Abbott Elementary.
Atlanta's fire, man. Yep.
What's going on in what are some other shows that are out right now that are like Black creators?
Grand Crew. I know some people who don't fuck with Grand Crew. I like the way it's friends with niggas.
Yeah, Grand Crew.
like friends. Like that's what Living Single is. That's Living Single. Yeah. It's a newer Living Single for niggas. Let's put it like that. It's on NBC.
But let's keep it a stack. Living Single, all that shit. They took they shit from Golden Girls. The same thing. You got the slut. You got the matriarch, you got the ditzy chick, and you got the smart aleck. It's the same 4 characters.
Same formats,
Yeah.
And then my favorite movie is The Blues Brothers.
Really?
It's iconic. I cannot lie.
I gotta watch. I don't remember it enough. I have to watch it again.
Bro, one of the most iconic movies ever.
Bro, one of the Blues Brothers is amazing.
Blues Brothers 2000 was ass.
It's horrible.
Well, we're not going to talk about Blues Brothers 2000. We're going to talk about
that should not be mentioned.
And the Blues Brothers is great because they are respectful to where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the 2 main characters are white, but it's not a white movie.
Nope.
I gotta watch it again.
They give my city the best. They put my city on a pedestal.
Sure.
It's one of the blackest white movies ever, and it's because they pay respect. I mean, they have Cab Calloway in the movie, for God's sakes. Cab Calloway. They might as well have Sammy Davis Jr. in it. Like, you don't get blacker than having Cab Calloway.
Aretha Franklin, James Brown, all of them are in the Blues Brothers.
Franklin, James Brown, Lee Hooker. Who else was in it? Fuck. Now I'm getting like a brain freeze. I think that's all that matters.
Yeah. I mean, the best black TV though is like anything Tyler Perry, man. Home shit is official, man. I love that stuff.
Excuse me, what?
I'm being sarcastic.
Excuse me, what?
I remember when I think Meet the Browns or something first came out. They were running this campaign. They said greatest sitcom of all time before it even came out. And then you watch it, it has its moments, but I'm like, man, it's corny.
Anyway, so the Blues Brothers is the greatest, one of the greatest movies of all time. John Lee Hooker was the name of the guy that was in the movie. Great music. The car chase at the end cost $5 million.
Damn. Can I get 1%?
Man.
Amazing.
Man, give me a 0.5%, nigga. I'm still good.
Give me 25K. You feel me?
But Jay Washington, thank you so much for coming on this podcast with us today. It was really dope.
Man, thank you for having me. Thanks for having me.
This is dope, man.
Where can we find you?
Yo, Twitter, Instagram at Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. The Mad Titan podcast, everywhere you get your podcast from. I get you caught up on all the things happening in the Marvel and DC live action cinematic universes. It is Barbershop Talk for Nerds. Come on in the convo with that. And Blerds in the Hood every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Myself and Winston A. Marshall. We talk about the world of news, sports, pop culture, entertainment, and more from a Blerds perspective. And we are unapologetically black. We stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Blerds in the Hood, and the following day, respectively, clips from the show go up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Blerds in the Hood, both spelled BLERDS, the letter NTHEHOOD.
Thank you so much. And we'll put that in the description of this episode, too.
That was impressive. Shit.
Where do they fight?
I feel bad just saying Mo Green on all platforms.
Mo Green on all platforms.
But I have a podcast too called the Momentary Podcast. I do it sporadically. You can find it on my YouTube channel. Like I said, Mo Green on all platforms. I don't have the spiel like my man right here. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to teach every Indian how to talk like that. Every Indian call-centered person, they need to study you, and that's the way you speak. So people can understand.
Man, I get so you know what people. I've every time I've done a show or whatever, and they ask to wrap up, and I say everything to spiel, and I sometimes even have more behind it. And they're like, "Yo, how did you get so proficient on that?" I'm like, "Yo, I'm selling myself. This is the sales pitch part of the show right now. What does he got going on? All these things, and that's not even just all of them."
You're absolutely right, though. Absolutely right.
And now Mo's cheating on me with another podcast. That's all right, though.
Who? Well, I did this because you quit, so I had to do something else. You the type of dude, you go to jail, right? You go to jail. You the type of dude, you go to jail for 20 years and tell your girl not to fuck nobody.
That's what they all say. Oh, you went around. You went around.
You better wait till I'm 65 years old. I got this old ass dick. Listen, you gonna wait. I mean, I can't guarantee I'm gonna be celibate in here, but your ass better be celibate out there.
I swear to God, bitch, you fuck anybody, bitch, I'll kill you and that nigga when I get out. What you mean, in 22 years? Bitch, so what if it's 29? You better wait. What?
This motherfucker gonna have a walker with a gun.
Kenan, he say you the type of nigga like, bitch, you better write me religiously. Like, nobody write hand letters, bitch. I better get a letter every 3 days, I swear to God, oh.
You know what? They got phones in prison now, though. Niggas be having phones left and right.
Niggas get on the internet in prison.
Yo, dudes they did a whole skit like they was bitches going into the club. You saw that shit?
I remember that. And I remember that every went viral. Niggas was like, wait, what?
And it was like, multiple phones. It was mad angles.
Mad angles,
These niggas done cut it up.
Niggas edited a video into the sale. Not even in that.
Bitch, like, what you doing, bitch? Like, yo, come on, don't be patting me down, bitch.
These niggas had parties. Everybody was like, so these niggas get cell phones. But that's the thing, like, and some of them, they get access to the internet where they can use the internet. Like, they get cell phones and all this shit. And also, like, clearly some of the prisons, they let niggas wear whatever they want to wear because Monica just took a picture with C Murder and that nigga got on regular clothes. I was like, ain't this nigga locked up for life?
This motherfucker he like Reuben Carter. He said, I would not wear those prison clothes. Hurricane.
And you can follow me on all platforms, Kenan J Floyd, KenanJFloyd. Follow the podcast on Instagram, LSP Cast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Share with your friends. Get the word out.
Yes,
you can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/lightskinperspective. This was a good episode.
No,
you can catch episodes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/lightskinperspective. You know what it is. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys have a good one.
Peace. So the same deal.